Guy, let me tell you a story that will shock you, like no jokes. This is the story of a beautiful lady, Imelda Marcos. I mentioned beautiful for a reason, come to that later. She was a really beautiful little girl. I mean, very beautiful. Pale skin, almond eyes, beautiful black hair, and the best part about her is she has this voice that when she sings, you are going to stop and listen. But her life was nothing like a fairy tale. She lived a very rough life, like a sad one. She lived in this noisy city, like she lived in an actual garage. And when it's rained, the whole place will flood like crazy. Imagine being scared every time there is storm, thunder is, you're always scared. That was her reality. But then something happened one day. Her mom passed away, and her whole life turned around, like her whole life changed. Some people cannot cope with the loss of a loved one, so her whole life changed. They had to move from where they were to a tropical island. It felt like the world had forgotten her. So as she grew older, she became restless until one day she packed a small bag, just a briefcase, and went to the city, because of course a girl has big dreams. She moved with her auntie who sells musical instruments, and then she started helping her auntie to sell the musical instruments. And here is the magical part. When she sells those instruments, she sings. And when she sings, like, people stop. People will be like, the face matches the sound of the voice. She was so pretty, and her voice melodious. People described her voice as simply enchanting. In fact, the combination of her totality, enchanting. So her auntie's friends, see me calling her mom. Her auntie's friends began, telling the auntie, you need to do more with this girl. This girl needs to, get more. She can't just stay here like this now as a local champion. So the next thing, said they were advising her, probably should go into a beauty pageant. You have the possibility of winning. You are so fine, you can sing. So they said, use what you've got and make more out of your life. And then she agreed. She walked with confidence. She joined in the beauty pageant. She walked with confidence, sang her heart out, walked as if she already wore a crown. But guess what? She didn't win. And then she was about giving up. The auntie's friend said, no, you can't just give up like that. Go and meet the judge and try to convince him. Convince him, tell him what this means to you. And then she went to the judge and said, Chief Judge, please, this means a lot to me. She cried her heart out. She wept every manner of way she can beg someone. And that still shows the importance of resilience. Do not give up. Continue pushing, right? Even when they've changed it, meet the person. And so she walked up to the judge, told him, and cried her heart and everything. And guess what? The judge agreed. By the next morning, she was a superstar. She was on every magazine and newspaper. She was now the winner of the beauty pageant. And not only that, that brought a lot of attention. Like, guys, the attention was insane. Men were trying to, from all facets of life, writers, politicians, lawyers, doctors, they all wanted to be close to her. One day, a very powerful politician saw her around the Senate. To show how beautiful this lady really is, she was walking around the Senate, and this man saw her and he was hooked. At that moment, he said, this will be my wife. So he called her, they had a conversation, he convinced her, he said, please marry me, and we will rule this country together. I mean, this is that girl from that place where the house is leaking when rain is falling. Now he said, please marry me. We will rule this country together. He was able to convince her, and within 11 days, 11 days, they were married. And, that's how the fame started. She started singing at political rallies. She won the hearts of people from all over the world. The kings, queens, presidents, they all were attracted to her. Like, she helped her husband win every, competition, everything he went into by singing, winning the hearts of people. But then things began to change. Like, power began to get into her. That sweetness began to turn to sourness. People were beginning to whisper, embezzlement, fraud, this and that, because the people of Philippines continue to suffer while Imelda and her husband Marcos, they were living their life. And guess what? She became famous for one particular thing. Would you guess what she became famous for? She became famous for shoes. Shoes. You know, that is the most intriguing part of the story. She had over 3,000 pairs of shoes. Guys, when your country was so poor, you had over 3,000, and we're not talking of sherry shoes, oh, expensive shoes. 3,000 pairs, over 3,000 pairs. High heels, slippers, stilettos. Come. Let me know in the comments, how many shoes do you have? Tell me the truth. Are you a shoe addict like Imelda? And when people even ask her that, so you had over 3,000 pairs of shoes, she said, that's a lie. I had only 1,006 pairs of shoes. Like, is that still normal? Is that still a number? 1,006 pairs of shoes or more. People they spend. The people built a museum for her, an actual place that shows off her shoes, jewelries, her over-the-top life. The part that really blew everyone's mind is what she and her husband took with them when they fled, when they went to the US. They took 22 crates of cash worth $717 million with them, 300 crates of jewelries, $4 million worth of loose gems hidden in baby diaper boxes, $7.7 million worth of luxury jewelry, including gold crowns, tiara, and 65 Seiko and Cartier watches. Yeah, you heard that right. It was so real, even though it feels so unreal. And that is not the wildest part. Wait till you hear what Imelda and her husband actually carried when they fled. They had a box, yes, one whole box, 12 feet by 4 feet, stuffed to the brim with real pearls. Not fake, not costume, I mean real pearls. Then there was a 3-foot statue made entirely of pure gold. And this statue was dripping with diamond and other precious stones. And get this, they had $200,000 in gold bars, plus nearly $1 million in Philippine pesos. All packed like they were moving houses. But it doesn't stop there. When customs went through their luggage, they found, deposit slips rather, of, $124 million in secret banks in the US, Switzerland, and Cayman Islands. And just 1 week before they ran away, they had tried to send 2,000 tons worth of gold, which worth around $22 billion. I mean, this was years ago. $22 billion. You try to move 2,000 tons of gold. And where were they trying to move it to? They were trying to move it to Australia. But trust the Australians now, they caught wind of it and they stopped it. Hey, horses. Alright, mates. And for 6 whole months before they were kicked out in 1986 February, they were constantly moving crates of money out of the Philippines. These crates had money, exotic furnitures, fancy antique furnitures. They even tried to move $1 million worth of paintings. And I mean, all these crates that were moving was every week for 6 good months. One of Imelda's friends was even caught, trying to smuggle out $250 million worth of jewelry on her behalf. That's just what they found. Who knows what they didn't? And Imelda, she wasn't helping anybody find anything, even after decades. Till now, the Philippine government is still trying to find the rest of the stolen money. When they asked her to explain, she gave them pure attitude. One time, she even said, if you know how rich you are, you aren't rich. I have no idea how rich I am. What does that even mean? This situation was so wild that the Swiss government, they froze the Marcos's account. Many years later, they discovered another account with nearly $20 billion. Billion. Like, every time you think you've reached the end of the matter, another twist comes up. Like 20 billion. They didn't even discover this when they were shouting. Another account, $20 billion. Whoa. I wonder how rich our politicians really, really are. Because our politicians are already known to do these things. But Imelda, that was too much. And while all this stealing were going in the Philippines, things were falling apart. The 1963 election, it kicked off a whole new era, lavish parties. In fact, when she went, for one of the parties, she came in like a diamond, like a dazzle coming. Like even the Americans were wowed. She was called the Philippine version of Jackie Kennedy. But as soon as she got back home, she went on a crazy building spree. What people now call her edifice complex. Cultural centers, fancy buildings, anything to make Manila look very great, making Manila look great and important while the poor were getting poorer. Her husband who promised to, help the people, he helped only the inner circles. By the mid 70s, 7 out of 10 Filipinos were very broke. Poverty, homelessness, hunger, it was everywhere. Even US had to, bring food aid. Every people were hungry. But guess what Imelda Marcos was doing all this while this was ongoing? She was flying around the world, shopping Paris, Rome, London, New York, you name it, Bulgari, Tiffany's, Cassia, Harry Winston, diamonds, golds, emeralds, and not just one or two things. On October 13th, 1977, she spent $348,000 on diamonds. Then just one week later, another $1 million, like it was nothing. In July 1978, after pretending to be humble, for 9 days in Soviet Union, she left and flew to New York for retail therapy. First morning there, she spent $194,000 on antiques. The next week, over $2 million on jewelry. All this on her husband's official salary of $6,500 a year. That wasn't a typographical error. His supposed salary a whole year is supposed to be $6,500. But look at how she spends. And when journalists questioned her spending, did she hide? No. She told them, the people want me to shine like a star in their midst. Who am I to deny them? Like, what? She was once grilled by the US and, instead of explaining herself, she called them barbarians, comparing them to, Spanish Inquisition. But not to worry, her husband, tried to cheer her up. He got her the world's largest blue diamond. This diamond is called the Idol's Eye. Worth $5 million. Hey, mad. And just when people thought they were broke because of, inflation and debt, Imelda bought more. More mansions in Long Island, Hawaii, San Francisco, and even the Crown Building in New York. Her art collections, masterpieces. Holbein, Canaletto, Chagall, Rembrandt, El Greco, Rubens, Titian. Literal museum pieces. Meanwhile, 30% of her people were living in hardcore poverty. In general, it was later confirmed that in their 21 years in power, the Marcoses family stole over $18 billion. Between $18 billion and $30 billion, that's aid money. And donations, most of it taken through threats, bribes, and shady visits. In fact, Imelda had her own private police. They were called Metrocom. But wait, the husband really worshipped her to allow her spend like that. And they showed up at rich people's home with little love notes that reads, "Congratulations, you've been, selected to appear at the palace with check of $10,000. Or company shares or land deeds to donate to my favorite charity." Signed, of course, Imelda Marcos. And if anyone said no, the tax office showed up. They were so powerful. And if they still resisted, their businesses were taken over by one of her friends or her family members. One businessman said he got so many congratulations notes, I used them to wallpaper his bedroom wall. We can go on and on and on of what, Imelda Marcos' family did. But then, the twist, the whole freedom came in, during the People Power Revolution. And just like that, in 1986, everything crashed. The people of the Philippines became so tired, they marched the streets, they chased Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos out. They were overthrown. Her legacy, a museum of shoes, a trail of luxury, and the nation trying to recover. And what did Imelda say looking back? She compared herself to Robin Hood. She said she stole and funded projects with a smile. Like that was okay, as if robbing people while smiling is a noble thing. You guys, let me know in the comments. So, how did she actually think robbing people like this was normal? Why weren't there more movies made about her? Prisoners waving flags. Are you serious? Robin Hoods. Are you serious? Robbing people with a smile. With pearls and diamonds. If you had all this with, without context, wouldn't you think this is all fiction? But it happened real life. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments because this email that Marcus, it sounds like fiction, but it happened. So corrupt. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.